Boldwood presents The Girl on the Balcony, written by Diana Wilkinson and read by Janita Jimenez. To James, a son in a million. Prologue, Teddy. I fiddle with my ear pods, tap my fingers on the drop-down table, and bob my head in time to imagine new music. The ear pods ran out of battery ages ago, so I've heard every word the woman across the aisle from me said. And holy shit, I'm pretty sure she's just owned up to cold-blooded murder. We're sitting near the front of the plane, heading for Luton Airport, and suddenly I'm eavesdropping on her conversation. She's talking behind a very chubby hand, but my hearing is so acute I could hear a pin drop. I take a large swig from a water bottle, not sure whether I want her to stop talking or carry on. Either way, I keep my ears pricked but my eyes averted. "He was such a bastard," the lady tells the girl in seat 2A. She's having to lean across an empty seat between them to tell her story. "But you know that, don't you?" They seem to know each other, but the girl looks so shocked that I guess she's hearing this particular tale for the first time. How this woman masterminded her husband's death on a roof terrace in Marbella. The lady then announces that indoor cameras show footage of the girl inside the villa shortly before her husband's death. I take a cursory glance round and notice the girl is shaking like a leaf as she digests the words. I sneak another glance when the lady stops talking. She leans heavily into her seat with a smug, self-satisfied expression before tucking into a mini box of Pringles. I'm sort of wondering if I might have been sleeping and dreamt the whole thing, but I'm far too wide awake. Suddenly the seatbelt signs go on, and the captain announces our descent. "Hello," I hear a voice. "Do you love flying?" As I tug at my seatbelt, I don't immediately twig the lady is talking to me. I scoop out the earpods and slip them into their holder. Hopefully she'll not guess I overheard her conversation about how she had someone trap her husband on the terrace in 40-degree heat and deliberately didn't let him out. "I don't mind it," I say, aiming for nonchalant, but her directness immediately has me on edge. "I'm Astrid, by the way, on my way to London. And you?" "Stephen," I blush, tongue-tied and uneasy. "I'm from Norway," she says. "Oh, I've never been, but the fjords are on my bucket list." I grab my bag to give my hands something to do. "You like travelling?" she continues. "Yeah, it's my favourite pastime." "I've got a lovely villa in Marbella and spend most summers there." There's a glint in her eye that suggests she's imparting more than just the words. The plane buffets from side to side as it careers along the runway, giving me the opportunity to look away from her face. But her next words have me snapping my gaze right back. "Maybe, Stephen, you should come and visit me at my villa." Wait till I tell Hayley. She'll never believe what's happened. That I was sitting beside a member of the Norwegian royal family, a woman who owned up to being a cold-blooded murderer. A fact she doesn't know I overheard. I help Astrid carry her cabin bag into the arrivals hall, and as we're waiting by the luggage carousel, she repeats her offer, looking more serious this time. "Stephen, I'm looking for a young man to help out around my villa and act as an escort for me around Marbella. Maybe you'd be able to step in for a few months in between travels." She slumps down onto a seat her face red and puffy. At first, I think she's joking, making polite conversation, but when she digs round in an enormous handbag and hands me a business card, I realise she might be deadly serious. "I pay well," she says, laughing so loudly that heads turn. She then asks for the business card back and scribbles something on the back. "How does that sound for a monthly salary?" Is she for real? That's what bar work offers for a 6-month slog. I'm lost for words. Her luggage arrives, and I help her lift several large, very expensive-looking cases off the carousel. "Maybe you can help me out to my taxi," she says. "I need a strong young man like you in my life." I jump to it, the pound signs practically flashing in my eyes. "Of course." "Just one thing. My offer only stands for a couple of days. Let me know by the end of the week. Otherwise, I'll have to find myself a new minder." Holy shit. What the heck is my girlfriend gonna say? Chapter 1. Jade. I'm strolling along the main street in Fuente Alamo. Well, more skipping than strolling. The Pedersens, the Danish couple I've just wined and dined, have all but signed on the dotted line. If they buy the townhouse, €4,000 commission will be in the bag. It could be a lifesaver, as my finances are in desperate need of a boost. The greengrocer's is brightly lit, with an amazing array of fruit and vegetables on display outside. You wouldn't think it was only February and 9:30 at night. Spain is so unlike England, where everything shuts down for the day around 4 p.m. I've had a couple of glasses of wine, money well spent, and I'm feeling on the reckless side of jovial. I'm on such a high, and for the first time in ages, I've a spring in my step. I dip my fingers into the Satsuma display and pocket a couple. I jump when a horn beeps, but the car passes. For a second, I think it might be someone who saw me pocketing the oranges. I slow my pace, aiming for nonchalant, when I hear a wolf whistle. I turn my head, fearing it might be the shopkeeper calling me out, but there's no sign of anyone in the store. "Hola, señorita?" I freeze when I realise I'm the target of the greeting. I give a wan smile as two guys with lecherous expressions wink and walk past. By the time I reach the back street, where I've parked my Fiat Punto, my celebratory glow has dulled. The side road is so dark and there's no sign of life anywhere. All the activity in Fuente is centred on the main street, and everywhere else is spooky as hell. I need to get back to the resort and to bed. I'm so exhausted, and we'll probably celebrate tomorrow when the Pedersens put down their deposit. That's the plan. Once I've driven through the town, I hit the unmarked dirt track that leads back to the resort where I live and work, Campo de Golf. The motorways in Spain are dimly lit, but this dirt track is on a whole new level. Even when the headlights are on full, I could be wearing a blindfold. It's as if I've been sucked into a black hole. Worse still, the car is being tossed in the air every few metres by gaping potholes. An occasional oncoming vehicle teases me with bright lights before it shoots past. I can just about see the steering wheel. Then out of nowhere, a full beam approaches in my rear view mirror. The light is blinding, and a monstrous vehicle is soon only centimetres from my bumper. If I hit the brakes, it will smash into me. What are they doing? It can't be over the theft of a couple of Satsumas, really? Okay, I shouldn't have pocketed them as I walked past, but I was in such a good mood I didn't think anyone would notice or care. There's nowhere for their car, what looks like a black 4x4 to pass, as we're on a twisty section of the road. Yet I'm not convinced that's their aim. It feels like they're trying to force me into the ditch. My speedometer won't go any higher, having struggled to reach 80 kilometres per hour, with a death-rattle clunking noise coming from under the bonnet. The vehicle behind me is now so close, it's actually started to nudge against my bumper. Holy shit, it's banging metal on metal and shunting me forward in the darkness. At least it's speeding me up, but what the hell? This isn't friendly dodgems. These guys mean business, whatever that business is. If I'd snapped up a crate of Rioja, I get why someone might come for me, but a couple of oranges? Maybe the guys tailing me are the shopkeepers, or perhaps they're the two swarthy guys who whistled as they walked by. Deep down I'm scared it's someone else, someone from my past, but no one knows where I am now, so I try to dismiss the thought. Anyway, whatever or whoever it is, does it really matter? From where I'm sitting, I've got two options: carry on and let them crush my car to a pulp, or pull over onto the barren lit field and pray for them to drive past. If they stop and come for me, I can make a dash for it. I'm fit, fast, but it's impossible to see. My heart is thrashing in my ribcage. I've no idea what to do. Surely if their aim was to force me off the road, they'd blast the horn. Yet I'm starting to feel that isn't it. They're after my blood. I'm forced to slow down as my car gasps for air. It appears to be giving up the ghost. I direct the wheel towards the side of the road, making a snap decision that ploughing into the adjacent field has the slight edge over being crushed to death. It's then I see something moving in the field. It's huge and seems to be heading this way. Likely a raging bull with razor-sharp horns, seeing as I'm in Spain. I look around, but I've run out of options. It's the field, or stay where I am and get crushed like scrap metal in a junkyard. Suddenly it seems a good idea to roll down the window and hurl out the Satsumobile. I may as well lose the evidence and play ditzy blonde. Turn their thoughts away from murder, because that's what it feels like. If they're professionals, or Spanish mafia, this could be it. I have sudden flashbacks of Marbella, the heat, the terror, and the heart-stopping getaway. That dreadful premonition returns, that what's happening now might have something to do with what happened there. I might not have been directly responsible for Isaac's death, but I wasn't innocent. Chapter 2. The Fiat chokes and splutters and finally conks out. I can't even drive onto the field with the roving wildebeest. It's small comfort that I'm unlikely to get mauled to death, but I'm still shaking like a leaf. My life flashes before me. It's crazy, but the thing I'm most worried about is getting back to feed my cat. I might be about to be bludgeoned to death, but all I can think about is the stray that wanders round each night. Although I'm trembling head to toe, I'm unable to move. The making a run for it option is off the table, as I'm superglued to the spot. I close my eyes and start counting down from 100 to try to calm my nerves. This usually works as the resort's mindfulness class, but for now it's not doing its pitch. The laser-sharp headlights are still searing through my back windscreen. The filthy glass of the Fiat suddenly seems gleaming. Instead of risking night blindness, I keep my eyes peeled ahead, in the direction of the dark unknown. I've no idea what to do next, except wait. The men have killed their engine, and the silence is worse than the roar of action. Their lights are still on, Gestapo interrogation bright. A few minutes, and still nothing happens. They don't get out, keeping me sandwiched between them and the blackness. What are they doing? I'm too scared to look round. Visions of a Kalashnikov pointed at my head. Then, all of a sudden, I hear their engine rev up again. If their aim is to shove my Punto another few miles along the dirt track, then what choice do I have? It's only about a mile to the resort entrance. I say a quick prayer, not sure who's listening, but I plead for these maniacs to move on. Suddenly, They're alongside, leering in through the driver's side window. The passenger leans across, makes an obscene gesture with a middle finger and swivels a large slithery tongue in my direction. Both men are dark-skinned and very hirsute. Hair straggles downwards from their heads and thick beards complete the hard man look. They're the sort of guys you really don't want to meet on a dark night. They're like characters from a slasher movie. I look down at my feet, hoping if I don't react they might take off. It seems the wisest move considering I don't have a backup plan. After what seems like an eternity, the vehicle moves slowly away. I manage to read the registration, repeating the numbers and letters in my head. It's only when the car zooms off that I'm able to breathe again and manage with damp, shaky fingers to type the registration into my phone. This seems a positive move, although I've no idea why. I just hope, whoever they are, they don't come after me again. Chapter 3. The Fiat manages to start again after a few attempts, and 5 minutes later I'm rolling up to the resort. My heart is still racing, but thankfully it's calming down. The illuminated sign for Campo de Golf, which welcomes you to the resort, is blinding. It could be lighting up an airstrip for incoming planes. The letters are big and bold, like those on an upmarket Vegas nightclub. It's never looked more inviting. There's an opulence about the entrance facade, selling luxury to new arrivals. It certainly did its pitch when I looked around on a warm, sultry afternoon. The fierce Spanish heat wave had lingered, and by early October the weather was glorious. Not too hot, and certainly not too cold. I had no idea back then how bleak and desolate the golf resort would feel in the depths of winter. I now actively discourage prospective buyers from coming to look at properties until at least the end of March. It's still early February, and it's dark by 6:30 p.m. when a grim desolation engulfs the place. Both sides of the security kiosk are flanked by towering stone walls. Another set of blinding neon lights point back onto the walls themselves and highlight the gushing water feature. The oil-slick sales reps joke to clients that it looks a bit like the Trevi Fountain. They point it out, but don't linger. Certainly no one is chucking coins into the murky water channel. There's no sign of anyone in the security kiosk. Manned 24/7, the blurb says the cost is shared by all the residents, of which I'm one. Yet another thing they don't tell you before you sign your life away. Although I'm sneaky enough, now the boot's on the other foot, it also leaves out this information when showing people around. If the sale is a definite no-go, I own up. I certainly don't want them loitering with another agent. It's really tough being a sales agent, especially in Spain, where the competition for selling holiday homes is fierce. It was meant to be a whole new future setting up shop here. Managing, rather than selling, million-pound homes has quickly become my bread and butter. Sales are virtually non-existent in the winter, and it breaks my heart that in order to make ends meet, I've had to rent out the little apartment I bought. I'm keeping everything crossed that by the summer I'll start earning serious money and can move back in. I drive past the empty kiosk. When Santiago, the security guard, is locked inside it, his head and shoulders look as if they're sitting on a serving platter. He's so uninspired by the job that he could be dead. Tonight, as usual, he's likely asleep in the cabin off to the right, preferring his own company. He's happy enough in the daytime, munching his way through tortilla chips. It's still only 10 o'clock, but I'm exhausted. It's been a busy day, and I'm so ready for bed. The yawns threaten to swallow me up. I drive slowly over the speed bumps, gritting my teeth when the suspension creaks and joins the death rattle. The scraping noise is like chalk on a blackboard. Oh, for my warm duvet. I pass the clubhouse, the hub of the golfing activity. In fact, the hub of activity for the whole resort. It's also enveloped in darkness, with only a couple of vehicles in the car park. Happy hour has long passed. Once I reach the roundabout, I slowly unwind. Nearly home. I hum as I do the sharp right onto the last stretch of road. I'm staying on the second phase of the resort development. Phase 1 was built first, comprised of large detached villas, whereas Phase 2 is made up of small communities sited around communal pools. The whole resort is pretty creepy in the dark, and the spookiness gets worse the further away you are from the clubhouse. A dull orange glow from dusky street lamps doesn't help the ambience, rather upping the eerie feel. All around has the atmosphere of a very plush ghost town. Up ahead, I suddenly spot a random car and slow down. Holy shit, it can't be. No. The car's parked outside number 66 where I'm staying. A large red people carrier, and it's directly alongside Avery Knowles' villa. The villa I've been staying in for the past 2 months. Avery emailed this week to confirm he wouldn't be out until mid-May. It's only February. What the hell is he doing here now? And how the heck am I going to explain to him why all my worldly goods are strewn around his villa? When I rented out my own apartment, I had to stay somewhere. The last time I saw Avery was early November, a couple of weeks after I'd set up shop on the resort, and he was my first client. He was smitten with the villa and paid up straight away. I was euphoric, counting up in my head how much I might make from my new business. Turns out Avery was a random lucky introduction to the job. Waking up in his king-size bed after we'd agreed the deal, after the night of celebrations, with him next to me was mortifying. But afterwards we managed to avoid each other with the stealth of ninjas. Not that anything happened between us. I've learnt my lesson where one-night stands are concerned. All we did was share a shed load of sangria and collapsed, fully clothed. Although, how I managed to pass out, I've no idea. I still have no recollection of drinking that much, but with a sail in the bag, it wasn't the time to accuse him of date rape or of spiking my drinks. He might be a creep, but business is business. Other than email communication regarding management and villa rentals, we don't keep in touch. And I haven't seen him in person since he signed on the dotted line. He's been a couple of times with golfing buddies, but I've managed to avoid face-to-face interaction. Passing out on a new client's bed wasn't the sharpest move, but living in their property without permission is something else entirely. I hold a key for business purposes, not for free accommodation. What the hell am I going to do? I look in the mirror, wondering if I can turn around, and in vain hope he hasn't seen me, but it's too late. He's standing up ahead in the middle of the road, waving his arms in the air. He's seen me all right. His arms are criss-crossing frantically as if he's directing a jumbo jet towards the terminal. Shit. I've no choice but to face the music. Chapter 4. Hayley. 3 months earlier. The front door creaks on its hinges. Teddy's home. Waiting for him has been like waiting for a son to return from his gap year. Relief that he's safe is competing with a sense of dread. Mainly dread of what's in his travel bag. Tropical insects, caked underpants, a random tarantula or two, who knows. My nightmares have been riddled with gruesome images. It's not only the thought of the laundry and sifting through maggot-infested clothes, but more the general upheaval. Life's been pretty tranquil for the past 3 months, and I've genuinely started to enjoy my own company. In here! My yell competes with the clattering of a hold all. I suspect it's much heavier than when he left, owing to the carved elephants, incense burners, and multiple market cheap pashminas. These are going to make him millions, apparently, as they were only a snip in Vietnam's Ben Thanh market. My WhatsApp was so clogged with travel blog updates that I ended up deleting the lot. No doubt there'll be more treasures in his bag once I'm brave enough to unzip it. "Scrivens, come here." He wanders in, arms thrown wide. I'm still Scrivens, and he's still Teddy. They're student monikers from 7 years ago. We're like Ant and Dec, a stuck-at-the-hip partnership. Well, we were. He's still travelling, still looking for the next big thing, still living the life of a student, and accepting that adulthood comes with responsibilities. That includes earning money. That's my role. Mum, girlfriend, breadwinner, rolled into one. He was certainly quick to pick up on the advantages of a doormat partner. He wraps his octopus tentacle arms round me, and I brace against the stench. He smells as if he's been sleeping on a rubbish tip. "Oh my God, you stink!" I flap my hand up and down, turn my head sideways and breathe out the rancid fumes. "Charming." He unlatches the tentacles, runs his rough skeletal fingers, complete with dirty raggedy nails and skin like desiccated coconut, over his beard. He's like a yeti. His facial hair covers his features, and the only skin showing on his face is cheekbones and the bags under his eyes. Teddy is still at the pretty cute stage of manhood. He's got boyish features, despite the yeti look, and has the emotional maturity of a 10-year-old. I fell for his vulnerability, but he's become increasingly selfish, milking my mothering instincts for all they're worth. "Are you hungry?" I step back, distancing myself from the smell. "Starving." His eyes light up. "I've got chicken casserole in the oven." "Heaven, I haven't eaten properly in days." A second silence. "Make that months." His cheeky grin doesn't weave its once guaranteed magic. "Money run out?" I aim for wide-eyed curiosity, as he doesn't look in any fit state to be dumped. Not on an empty stomach, and definitely not before he's had a shower. Goodness knows when he last washed. "You're a star. Yay! It's great to be home." He's like a kid back from boarding school, despite the fact he's 27. He slopes off into the bedroom. 5 seconds later, he pokes his head and shoulders back round the door. He's ripped off the smelly t-shirt, displaying his six-pack, but doing so has exacerbated the putrid odours. I could do with a clothes peg on my nose. "Scrivens, wait till you hear what I've to tell you." His eyes are now even more wide-eyed than mine were a few minutes ago. They're agog with excitement. Perhaps he's got marijuana in his backpack. He seems high on something. "Oh, you were robbed at gunpoint in the Amazon jungle? Mugged in Hanoi? Don't tell me." "No, better than that. You'll never believe it." He's like a little kid, hiding a spider in his fist. "Look, Mummy, what I've got here." Why not shower, and then tell me all about it? "Will do." Soon the bathroom door is closed, and when I hear him whistle, I cringe. Chapter 5. Apart from lingering overkill of facial hair, there's a hint of my old boyfriend when he reappears. My soon-to-be ex-boyfriend. At least he smells better, slathered in Lynx cologne. Lucky he didn't get lost in the jungle, because search teams would have had trouble identifying him. His passport photo, taken only a couple of years ago, could be of a completely different person. It shows a fresh-faced young man with wavy hair and a baby-smooth complexion. His skin is now weathered, his brow wrinkled, and fine lines leak from his eyes. My heart thuds in my chest. I'm really going to do it, on the umpteenth time of trying. I'm going to tell him it's all over, and this time there'll be no going back. Smells great. Come here, Scrivens. God, I've missed you." As I stand and stir the casserole, he zooms in for a hug. offering up a slobbery kiss, before picking up a fork and scooping out a mouthful. When I smack his hand away, he moves to the table and folds his long legs underneath him. I'm not sure he's picking up on my mood, and he blows heartily on the forkful to cool it down. "How have you been, Scrivens? You go first." "I'm okay. Still trying to make ends meet. You know how it is." "No big scoop yet?" I lift the casserole onto the table, then sit down and lean back in my chair. His fork swoops in again, and this time a piece of chicken catapults onto the floor. "Can you wait?" "Sorry, I'm starving." He's like a salivating dog, but slaps his own wrist this time. Perhaps if he wasn't aging backwards, regressing to teenage ways, I might have second thoughts. But he's only been home half an hour, and is already driving me nuts. No big scoop yet. Car thefts, break-ins, marital bust-ups, usual boring stuff, but it pays the bills. With this comment, I give him a stony stare. Teddy hasn't contributed a penny to anything in the past 3 months. "I will get my act together. Actually, I've got exciting news. Wait till you hear this." Chapter 6. Holy shit. Once Teddy gets into his story, I'm riveted. I'm devouring every word. This could be it. The scoop. The one that will crack open my career. Who knows? If I can get an exclusive covered by the US media, I might even win the Pulitzer Prize. I don't tell Teddy this, of course. I'll need his help on the case, as he's my way into the heart of the story. But I know Teddy. If he thought my involvement might ruin his chances of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with lots of money involved, he'd likely find a way to cut me out. Maybe this is my means of getting something back for the last 7 years. This could be the story that finally puts me on the map as an award-winning journalist. I'd never do Teddy any harm. We've been together too long, but perhaps without letting on, I can finally milk something from our relationship. I'll no longer be dumping him tonight. No way. He's been given a stay of execution a while longer. When he gets up from the table, he suddenly notices the futon I unfolded earlier, anticipating that once I told him we were history, he'd be so pissed off he wouldn't care where he slept. "Oh, you've unfolded the futon? Why's that?" "Lauren stayed over." I lie. I'll warn my sister in the morning to back up my story. "For an awful moment I thought it was for me." He laughs a boyish snigger, while flicking lanky locks off his face. His eyes are black-ringed like a panda's, and he's having trouble keeping a lid on the yawns. Hopefully, he'll be too exhausted to make a move tonight. "I'm knackered. Let's crash out, and I'll help with the clearing up tomorrow," he suggests, heading towards the bedroom. "You go on. I'll be 10 minutes. "Okay, Scrivens. I love you." He doesn't respond when I say nothing, which confirms he must be knackered. And moments later, he's snoring like a foghorn. My mind is racing with what he's told me. Tomorrow I'll try to research what I can to support his story. This really could be front-page news. Here and across the world. A Netflix series even. My mind is buzzing with potential. The one thing about Teddy that I would trust with my life is his hearing. It never lets him down, even when I mumble swear words under my breath. That's why I believe him now. His whole tale is down to what he heard, and what he wasn't meant to hear. Some woman owned up that she masterminded a murder. When I finally crawl into bed, I kiss the top of his sleeping hand and whisper, "Glad you're back, teddy bear." When something jumps out of his hair, I scream. Looks as if he's also brought home a bloody load of nits. Chapter 7. Jade. I park up, and slink slowly out of the car. Avery is soon right next to me, his hands stuffed deep in his pockets and giving me daggers. Although it's been less than 3 months since I saw him, he seems to have put on a shed-load of weight and lost an even greater shed-load of hair. I can't remember if his hair was thinning when I last saw him, but he's hard to recognise now his head is close-shaven and he's sporting a stubbly beard. Even in the dull, foggy lighting, he's still white and pasty. "Avery," I say. I'd like to say what a nice surprise, but it's a bloody awful surprise. "Right, Jade. What the hell is going on?" He sweeps his arm towards the front porch. My clothes, shoes, toiletries, even my embarrassing Victorian button-up dressing gown are lying higgledy-piggledy on the step. There's a box alongside, containing what looks like my Nespresso machine and the Aerochino frother. "I can explain." No, I can't explain without getting in deeper shit. If I tell him I've only been staying in his villa for a couple of days, I doubt he'll buy it. How the heck can I own up to 2 months? Why did I bring so much stuff? If I'd just brought an overnight bag, it wouldn't look so bad. I should have left more in the office. From inside the villa, I see a woman watching us. She's staring out the kitchen window. And from how still she is, she could be a mannequin's bust. All I can see are her head and shoulders. She's like a ghost haloed by the under-cabinet strip lights. They're still flickering, despite Avery asking me to put new ones in. It's on my mammoth to-do list of maintenance chores. "Go ahead. This better be good." "I rented my own place out last month. I'll pay you rental, I promise. Peak season rates?" I actually rented my own place out shortly after he bought his villa, around 3 months ago, but I've got to give it my best shot. It's a vain hope that the shorter the length of time I've been squatting might lessen the gravity of the crime. If I wasn't able to afford living on the resort before, this will wipe me out. I don't need to fall out with Avery. He's a paying client. I'm very pally with the other owners in Las Colinas community. 20 properties in all, and I manage 8 of them. I can't afford to lose any more clients. "You swore to me that you never rent out properties without telling the owners, but living in them, rent-free, yourself? You've got to be kidding me," he hisses, now so close up that an expulsion of spit hits my cheek. Avery's a creep, but I've made such an effort to be nice to him. My first client and all that. I've tried hard to be pleasant, but I'm going to have trouble getting out of this mess. He's glowering at me as if I've robbed him at knife point. The lady from the window appears suddenly by the front door. She's tall and willowy, dressed for summer in a floaty white dress. She's barefoot, and her toes are so long, I think of the aye aye, a species of lemur. It's the animal with the world's largest toes. I'm a quiz nerd, with a mental hard drive packed with random trivia. Whatever. She's got to be freezing as the temperature is Arctic cold. "Avery, don't stress. No harm done," she says in a calming tone, wandering out on tiptoe to join us. She's at least a head taller than Avery. "Crystal, go back inside. You'll catch your death." He's crocodile snappy, which I suspect is down to me. He swats her away with a slap on the arm, and she rubs a palm across a reddening clump of goosebumps. "Ouch, that hurt," she says, but holds her ground. If she expects an apology, she'll have a long wait. His narrowed eyes are concentrated in my direction. He's never mentioned a girlfriend before. The villa was bought in his name, so I'd assumed there was no wife either. I've had him down as a bachelor, but then I'm a pretty lousy judge of character. I vaguely remember a lady with him when I first showed the villa, but don't recall seeing her again. She certainly wasn't around when the deal was agreed. and there's never been any obvious sign of a woman's presence in the villa when I've cleaned the property after his golfing trips. Crystal watches us, but doesn't go back inside. Instead, she extends milky smooth fingers which must be the longest I've ever seen. Hi, you must be Jade? I'm Avery's partner, Crystal. Oh, hi. I'm tongue-tied, not sure if I'm more embarrassed at being caught red-handed or because I've discovered Avery is in a relationship. Also, Crystal doesn't look the sort of girlfriend I'd have imagined for him. He claims to be sporty. Golf, tennis, paddle, running, cycling, you name it, he's claimed he does it. From the way he speaks, sport seems to be an obsessive hobby. But judging by his unfit appearance, I suspect it's all talk. Avery is wearing a Campo de Golf polo shirt, navy blue with gold edging and the resort's palm tree logo. Beige chinos are straining at the seams, and although he's dressed for golf, I suspect he'd be more at home in a pub than on the fairway. A pitted beer belly strains over his waistband. Avery, leave it for now. Crystal speaks calmly, her demeanour in complete contrast to his. The woman looks as if a puff of wind would blow her over. Here, let me help you with your stuff, she says, turning to me. She picks her way cautiously over the cold terracotta tiles towards my stash of discarded possessions. Thanks. I shuffle round Avery, keeping my head bowed in shame. Thank goodness for Crystal. Avery has no intention of lifting a finger to help, although I can't say I blame him. I can almost see steam coming out of his nostrils. How could I have been so stupid? I was desperate. It was a last resort, but what the hell am I going to do now? I shovel up my clothes in both hands, mortified when a pair of lacy knickers escapes. Crystal giggles, bends and picks them up. You don't want to leave these behind? Geez, they're my sexy red ones, the ones with a ribbon that rides up between the buttocks. Thanks. Crystal winks as we load the lot into my already chock-a-block Fiat trunk. Can I have the keys back, please? Avery's voice pierces the silence as he extends an open palm. I scrabble round in my bag, hands shaking, and panic when I can't find them. I couldn't have lost them, could I? When I finally pull them out, Avery steps forward and snatches them off me. He tosses them in the air before tucking them into his straining chino pocket. After he stormed off, Crystal lingers. I want to cry, mortified at having been caught in the #1 sin of Spanish property agents. Somehow, I hold it together. Crystal pats me on the shoulder. Sisterhood over spousehood. Don't worry. He'll have calmed down in the morning. He's just tired after the journey. Thanks. I'm really sorry. I know. How does she know? She has no idea. I've now lost over €100 a month maintenance income, and goodness knows how much more, when Avery spreads the word around the community that I'm not to be trusted. With my own flat rented out, little money left in the bank, I've no idea what to do next. I'm now officially homeless. Chapter 8. How could I have been so stupid? Once back in the car, the sobs erupt. Tears stream down my cheeks as I wind my way back towards the clubhouse. I take a left turn, cruise past the half-built hotel and head for the Spanish village. When I get to my office, I'll have to decide what to do and where I can crash out tonight. It might have to be the office floor. I drive past a random security guard strolling along the pavement with what looks like an unmotivated Rottweiler on a long leash. The guy might recognise my car, but I doubt that's the reason he doesn't give me a second glance. He looks consumed by apathy. Even if he suspected I was an illegal immigrant wielding a samurai sword, I doubt he'd bat an eyelid. Even the dog looks bored out of its skull. I park up near my office. There must be room for at least 50 cars, but apart from 2 others, mine is the only one. You could build a whole city on the empty car parks around the resort. There must be at least 100 spaces for every property. As I wander towards my office, I look up at the second-floor apartments above the vacant shopping units across the way. The one on the end, the corner apartment with the wraparound balcony, is dimly lit. A smoky light attached to the outer wall provides the only sign of life for miles around. For most of the day, this particular apartment has the benefit of the full force of the sun owing to its position. This is my apartment, the one now rented out to Gabby Rackham, an aspiring artist, apparently on a sabbatical. She arrived in Spain shortly after I'd set up shop, with the intention of honing her talents by painting golf courses and vistas of rolling hills. There's nothing much else to paint this far inland, and unless she moves to the coast, she'll soon run out of vistas. Gabby Rackham is seriously weird. Her regular job, the one that earned her a living before she came here to paint, was a psychotherapist apparently. Her hair is streaked pink and purple, and she has multiple silver studs piercing her ears, with a random one on the side of her nose. She dresses in baggy clothes and unattractive footwear. Black boots seem to be a staple. She's got a pretty face, but it's hard to pick out her features through the bulky mane of multicoloured hair. A couple of tattoos, one on her wrist and one on her shoulder blade, up the threatening appearance. I'm not sure why she wants to look so unattractive, but I've too much to think about without worrying what the tenant living in my apartment looks like. She doesn't seem to be short of money and pays her rent on time. That's all I care about. She could be fleeing an abusive husband for all I know, but she's so not my problem. When I put down the deposit on the apartment, I really believed I'd found my own corner of heaven. There was no way I'd ever rent it out. That was the plan, until the hidden costs came to light. They'd been buried under the slickness of the sales spiel, which I'm now having to recite to equally naive customers. I did the maths, thinking I had enough to make the purchase, while at the same time setting up shop as a sales agent in the vacant offices across the way. I couldn't have been more wrong. The costs just kept spiralling after I'd signed my life away. Renting out my apartment was the only option to keep me afloat. One of the things that wowed me the most was the Spanish village itself. It's like the set of a commercial for selling Sunset. The pristine plazas, lit by low-energy LED bulbs, are immaculate. Not a scrap of litter anywhere, not even the glimpse of a cigarette butt. In the daytime, it is beyond amazing. I cycle around and walk up and down, breathing in the perfection of it all. But at night time in the winter, the orange bulbs encased in smoky glass give the place a really creepy feel. Like an old black and white movie, atmospheric but beyond eerie. And there's one thing missing which makes me really uncomfortable: CCTV cameras. I'd feel safer knowing someone was keeping an eye out. The resort admin has promised cameras will be installed later this year, but as there are so many unoccupied properties, it's likely a mañana-type promise. If anyone attacks me, no one will be any the wiser. Chapter 9. I dig out my office keys, unlock the grill over the door, and somehow manage to yank it off. In the mornings, there's usually someone to help, foregoing the need to yank. A security guard or Seamus, the guy who mans the drinks and tapas kiosk opposite. Or if I'm really lucky, Marcus from the office suite next door. Ola Sol. He's my main competitor when it comes to flogging a place in the sun, although he's far too cool to yank. He slides the grill off with seamless effort, a 6-foot hunk of charm and charisma. Recently, I've had to remind myself he is the competition. After the Marbella disaster, I've learnt my lesson. No more handsome cads. At least this time round, no one could mistake me for a millionaire, as I don't have 2 cents to rub together. At this rate, I'll soon be sleeping rough. That said, I'm learning plenty of slick sales patter from Marcus. He's been in the game a long time. When people browse in our adjacent windows for property to rent, and if we're lucky, properties to buy, he's outside in a flash, all sparkling veneers, suntan and designer stubble. It takes me longer to appear, my spiky heels losing it on the tiles. If the potential customers are women, I don't even bother. No point when Mr. Love Island appears. But when a single guy follows me inside, it's beyond satisfying. I stick my nose in the air with a smug backward glance. Marcus has an arrogant twinkle in his eye, and I find myself battling not to get sucked in by his charm. I watch him with clients, drawing them in with his smooth, easy manner. When he directs his attention my way, it's hard not to weaken. He's always trying to inveigle information out of me. Where have I come from? My background, family, significant others? I give nothing away. I don't intend to. I know his sort. Once bitten, never again. I'll have to contain my more lustful imaginings to bedtime. Having yanked the metal grill off, I step inside and flick the light switch. The single bulb explodes and I duck to avoid the glass batters. Shit, shit, shit! This is all I need. I turn on my phone torch and creep around like a cat burglar, trying to avoid the spiky shards. Across the plaza, I look up at my apartment. I want to howl all over again. There she is, the lovely, lonely Gabby Rackham, with her purple hair resting her arms on the rail of my balcony. The red-tipped glow from a cigarette end is just visible, but she's too far off for me to see if she's looking my way. I can't dwell on the squatter. That's what I call her, even though she pays the rent. For now, I'm the one who needs somewhere to stay tonight. The villa owner's keys are secured inside a metal wall box, hidden behind the door of the kitchenette. Coats camouflage the box, and I squish them inside to input the combination code 2904. Hard to forget the flight number of that fateful trip to Malaga, as it's etched in my memory. Forever. It was the number of the plane I was on when I met Isaac Marston. I shiver every time I input the code. My fingers graze over the keys. There are 15 sets in total, 14 once I've handed back Avery's spare set. How could I have been so stupid? Then again, what choice did I have? A place in the sun was to be a whole new beginning, selling sunset in a little corner of paradise. Forget phony millionaire status. This was to be about hard work. I was still set on making my fortune. My fingers come to rest at Bernard and Pat Roper's keys. Number 3, Avenida Del Mar. It's nowhere near the sea, but the swimming pool is the largest on the resort. I have no idea why I decamped to Avery's modest corner property when I could have stayed at the Ropers. The Ropers don't pay me much more in maintenance fees, but for some weird reason I was more reticent to stay in a 5-star property than in the modest villa in Las Colinas. Misguided logic told me that staying in a smaller property was somehow less of a crime than choosing somewhere more palatial. One thing that bothers me about Avenida Del Mar, though, is that it's so remote. It's on Phase 1 alongside the other larger, detached properties. No community feel. No friendly barbecues with neighbours. But tonight, it's my best option. I can't wait to get there and crawl into Pat and Bernard's king-size bed. A sudden noise outside, and I fall back against the sink. It sounds like the wail of an animal caught in a trap. An enormous squeal of pain is followed by silence. I don't move for a minute. When I dare go and look through the window, I see the security guard and Rottweiler stroll past. The dog seems to be shaking something in its mouth, something live. Fear permeates my every pore. I'm back in Marbella, in Isaac's villa, unable to escape.